This is CBC Vancouver News.
We're positioning more crews out on the stations with de-icing ability.
Blast of winter weather, another snowstorm wallops Metro Vancouver and much of BC.
I'm very pleased to announce that more help is on the way.
100 days in office. BC's Premier marks the start of his term with a new tax credit. And Lien Yeung at the BC legislature. The music legend joins the protest, demanding a stop to old-growth logging. Good evening, I'm Lien Yeung. Thanks for joining us. Nearly half the province is under a snowfall warning tonight as a blast of Arctic air has ushered in another winter storm in Metro Vancouver. Transportation officials are promising that they are working to avoid the travel chaos that we saw during the last snow event. As Janella Hamilton reports, they say preparation began days ago.
With up to 25 centimeters of heavy, wet snow expected to accumulate overnight at YVR, crews are taking proactive measures so passengers aren't stuck for hours waiting in terminals or on tarmacs, like during BC's last snowstorm.
There's been a great deal of engagement with our air carrier partners from an operations perspective. The de-icing of aircraft, the de-icing pads are all established. Staffing levels have all been established in terms of clearing of runways and aprons and snow removal.
McNanny says YVR preemptively canceled or delayed about 15% of flights this weekend. That's about 166 flights. He says the rate of snowfall will affect visibility.
If you have an appreciable impact on visibility, then you have to slow down operations even further. And it is possible then that you might see a pause in takeoffs and departures.
YVR is warning travelers to check their flight status before coming to the airport.
We activate what's called a snow desk.
TransLink says it's taking steps to keep buses and trains moving.
These people have constant eyes and ears out on the ground with the operators and are communicating every problem spot on the road with the municipalities as they happen. We've doubled the capacity of that snow desk's ability to communicate.
Extra staff has been brought in to help after the last snowstorm caused doors to freeze.
We're positioning more crews out on the stations with de-icing ability. So that means de-icing fluid and some hockey sticks to clear the snow from the doors as it builds up.
Snow amounts will vary among the regions, with closer to 30 centimeters expected in the Peace River region, Prince George, and the Okanagan. Environment Canada is warning of poor driving conditions at higher elevations. And some parts of Vancouver Island are already seeing that heavy accumulation. The Transportation Ministry says crews have been proactively applying anti-icing brine on roadways and bridges and will be out throughout the night salting and plowing snow on priority routes. Even food delivery companies are planning ahead. If the weather becomes severe, DoorDash says it will be halting deliveries in Metro Vancouver and several other communities. Environment Canada says for most places in BC, the snow should ease by early Sunday. Janella Hamilton, CBC News, Vancouver.
And just outside our studio here, we can already see the snow sticking to the ground, and we are expecting that accumulation. Here's how it's looking like as through the next 24 hours. You can see those are the snowfall accumulation numbers along with the current weather warnings. The snowfall warning all there in the red and orange there, 10 to 30 centimeters if you're in the South Coast region. The higher elevation should see closer to 30 centimeters. Otherwise, for the rest of us, anywhere between 10 to 20 up through Prince George towards the Peace, 15 to 30 centimeters. And then as you head south there, 15 to 25 centimeters and possibly up to 40 centimeters if you're out towards the Okanagan. So those highway passes are going to be dangerous. You want to be very careful if you are heading out there. Those are the current temperatures. You can see that entire region sitting in blue with those freezing mark conditions. And here's how the forecast will look tomorrow. This snowfall event isn't expected to stick around for very long, but we should still be seeing some snowfall tomorrow. Some light flurries you can see for most of the region. In Dease Lake, looking at a -11 with some flurries there. In Prince Rupert, also looking at flurries. 2 degrees will be your high. -4 for Prince George. In Williams Lake, looking at a -3, heading down to to Port Hardy, looking at 4 degrees along the coast. That snowfall will turn into rainfall as you head through the day. 6 degrees for Victoria. Kelowna looking at a 3 and -1 for Cranbrook. And your 5-day forecast. So here in Metro Vancouver, expecting an afternoon high of 4 degrees. The morning, we should still see some of those flurries and pretty breezy, up to 60-kilometer gusts. And then Monday, you can see by then the rainfall will already start falling, and it sticks around for the rest of the week. We are learning more tonight about the explosion in downtown Vancouver that injured 2 people yesterday. Video of the precise moment of the blast shows pedestrians were just steps away. Now, this dashcam footage shows how the fireball suddenly erupted, sending people running for safety. Fire crews say the explosion was so strong it blew out a massive slab of concrete. The fire is believed to have started from an underground electrical vault. Today, BC Hydro says incidents like these are rare, and determining the exact cause is its top priority. Premier David Eby marked his first 100 days in office today. Since becoming premier in November, he's been busy spending nearly a $6 billion surplus, some of which he doled out again this afternoon. More money for families. Our Yasmin Gandam has more on eligibility.
That's why today I'm very pleased to announce that more help is on the way through another round of the BC Affordability Tax Credit.
Premier David Eby marking his 100 days in office, speaking at SFU in Surrey, where his government is creating a new medical school. Eby also announced more cost of living support coming this spring through another affordability credit.
And part of our work needs to be to recognize that people need support with the rising costs that they're seeing as a result of global inflation. In fact, on my very first day as Premier, the first action I took was to put money back in your pocket with a new cost of living credit.
The April payment plan will provide up to $410 for a family with 2 children.
Over the next 18 months, my team and I will work hard to make life better for you and for your families in ways that you will be able to see and feel in your lives and in your communities.
Eby alluded to his government's new budget. It comes Tuesday and will be his first as premier. He says his 4 pillars of healthcare, climate change, housing, and safety will be addressed.
We'll be building affordable housing, expanding access to healthcare, including mental health care and addiction treatment.
Eby has been busily spending since becoming premier. Also in November, the province announced a nearly $6 billion surplus. But economic forecasters expect BC's economy to cool over the next 3 years. Political experts say they're eager to hear more details and not just dollar amounts on Tuesday.
So we know that additional resources are in the offering, but where and how that will be spent? Is it going to be continuing funding, or is it going to be addressing one-time shortfalls? These are really important questions.
Stewart says a top priority for the budget should be boosting affordable housing supply across the province. Other political watchers say a $1 billion addictions treatment plan could be a cornerstone of the financial plan. Yasmin Gandam, CBC News, Vancouver.
And music legend Lien Yeung made a surprise appearance today at an old-growth logging protest outside the BC legislature.
Comes a time when you settle down. Comes a light, feelings lifted.
The singer addressed the crowd between songs saying, "Thank you, Canada," and calling old trees sacred and precious. Many in the crowd dressed up as parts of the forest, including trees, bears, owls, and frogs. Protesters are demanding the province stop all old-growth logging.
In his first 100 days in office, he would accelerate action on old growth, and we're still seeing the most at-risk old growth forests fall while his government continues to delay action. So we're here all together today for a united call for him to meet his promise and do better for these forests.
Organizers say old-growth trees are dwindling at a rapid pace due to BC's logging industry, adding that forests have cultivated an ecosystem that humans, animals, and other plants all rely on. A Coquitlam man has been charged after allegedly attacking a CBC News crew at a protest near the Pacific Highway border crossing a year ago. The alleged assault took place last February near 8th Avenue and 176th Street in Surrey. Video of the incident appears to show someone knocking a camera from a camera person's shoulder and two men then trying to spit on him. The protesters were demonstrating against COVID border restrictions. 56-year-old Voslav Zimukic is facing one charge of assault. He's scheduled in court next month.
Everyone has a job to do, and the media was on site there just covering the protests. They have a right to be safe and do the job that they're doing, and it is unacceptable to assault anyone for any reason.
Since that incident, the Canadian Association of Journalists has been calling for charges. The organization that represents long-term care workers are responding to recent comments from the province's seniors advocate. Safe Care BC says it agrees the system needs restructuring.
If there is a way to kind of have people stay at home longer, it would really alleviate, I think, some of the stress that long-term care workers are facing and give them more time to provide care to the people who really need it.
In a report, BC Seniors Advocate Isabel McKenzie said because home care is unaffordable, many seniors enter long-term care homes where costs are subsidized. Dalla says if more people move into long-term care, staff need resources. Continuing care workers staff 870 long-term care and home and community care organizations across the province. Celebrations were underway in Nisga'a territory tonight as hundreds gathered to sing and dance at Hobier. Nisga'a people and their neighbors gathered at La Calza Community Center north of Terrace for the two-day celebration. Hobier marks the start of harvest, the return of ulakan or smelt, a staple in the Nisga'a diet. Festivities began with a traditional totem pole raising. The Eagle Halibut pole is a replication of one at UBC's Museum of Anthropology. Scottish officials were in the midst of Hobier this year as well. The Nisga'a are working to repatriate a totem at the National Museum of Scotland. Another major Hobier celebration will take place this Thursday in Vancouver. The Vancouver Whitecaps kicked off their season today against visiting Real Salt Lake. The team CEO says they are eager to dive into the new season.
We had a very good preseason, the best since I arrived in the club. The team has looked energetic, the team has looked good. They have worked hard, and now we want to prove it in an MLS game. That's what it is about, and that's what we prepared for.
Unfortunately, the team fell short tonight, despite scoring the first goal, losing to Salt Lake 2-1.
Some delivery, and the header down! Has the Whitecaps in front, and it's Javane Brown meeting it to score!
The Whitecaps are set for a busy 2023 campaign with 3 tournaments as well as MLS games. Last season, the Caps finished 9th in the Western Conference with a 12-15-7 record, but missed the playoffs for the 4th time in 5 years. A Canadian acting legend has died. We'll look back at Gordon Pinson's life and stellar career after the break. People across California are experiencing something they normally associate with the northern part of the country. Snow is also falling across that state. CBC's Chris Reyes has more.
You'd be forgiven to think this was some special movie effect. Snow swirling the Hollywood sign. Snow in the beaches of Santa Cruz. And there's more of it in places you'd never expect in the Golden State.
It's snowing in the Antelope Valley, which is the desert area. It's been pretty impressive to see.
The white stuff is so rare in California, it's almost magical for these kids just north of Los Angeles.
I live where there's like no snow ever. Like the only snow I've got was hail in like first grade, and it's pretty exciting.
It's not all magic. Snow is treacherous for a state that's not used to it.
This morning we had like a foot and a half of snow, and I couldn't go to work. We live on top of a hill, so all of our whole entire road was covered in snow.
Most of our residents and most of the people's cars aren't set up for any kind of snow or ice.
The winter storm system moved into the area earlier in the week, bringing dangerous travel conditions, power outages, and airport delays.
I went off into the ravine and had to get pulled out.
We got delayed due to weather, and we circled LAX, I guess this is LAX, and then we went to Phoenix.
In Ventura County in Southern California, a dramatic rescue Friday night when a driver got trapped in rising floodwaters. A firefighter had to be lowered by helicopter to lift the driver to safety. Into Saturday, almost the entire state was under some kind of winter weather advisory for flash flooding and the first blizzard warning in more than 30 years for Southern California.
This is definitely probably one of the coldest storms we've had in a long time here in Southern California. And I do know yesterday we set several rainfall records yesterday for daily amounts.
This year has brought one storm after another to California, including record rainfall earlier in January. Even as this snowstorm system is expected to move on this weekend, more rain is predicted next week. Chris Reyes, CBC News, New York.
Turkish officials say 184 people have now been arrested in a post-earthquake probe of possible substandard building construction. 160,000 buildings either collapsed or were severely damaged. They housed more than 500,000 units, and there is widespread suspicion that many were poorly built and fell more easily. Those arrested include contractors, property owners, and people who had made building altercations. Officials say more than 600 people have been investigated so far. Russia has halted oil supplies to Poland. A pipeline exempt from EU sanctions against Russia had been carrying it. Russia's move comes a day after Poland's first delivery of Leopard tanks to Ukraine. A small ceremony marked the tank's arrival, with Poland's prime minister attending. Poland says it was prepared for Russian oil to stop flowing and that it secured supply to replace it. Well, a Canadian acting legend has died. His family said today Gordon Vincent died at the age of 92. Vincent won every major Canadian acting award over his more than 60-plus-year career and was named to the Order of Canada. But the Newfoundland-born actor never took his fame for granted. CBC's Deanna Sumanak-Johnson looks back at his life and stellar career.
Okay, got it? Okay.
He said he was a shy, awkward child growing up in Newfoundland. But in acting, Gordon Vincent found freedom.
I made up my mind a long time ago that you have to have the same enthusiasm one year after the other, because the stories are different, the people are different.
What Canadians found in him was someone they felt they knew. By the early 1960s, he was already a familiar face from his roles in TV shows and specials.
I know there are other things I can't have. At least till I'm middle-aged and due for a raise at the bank, but...
When great roles didn't come, he invented them. He mined the humor of his native Newfoundland to write 1972's The Rowdy Man. He also played the lead in it.
And the smells of things, and the women. The women!
The film was an instant box office success, cementing Vincent's status as a Canadian film and TV star. Over the next 2 decades, he became a companion of the Order of Canada, won every major acting prize in the country, and appeared on popular shows like Street Legal. But Vincent's second act was even more impressive.
Bill, I'm your husband. Fiona, it's Grant. We've been married for 45 years. Look at me, Fiona. That is not your sweater.
In 2006, he got universal praise for playing a husband losing his wife to Alzheimer's in Sarah Polley's Away From Her. But as the film was about to hit theaters, tragedy struck in Vincent's personal life. His wife, actress Charmian King, died of emphysema. Still, Vincent fought on, learning new tricks as actors his age were enjoying retirement. At age 80, he went viral for the first time when he read from Justin Bieber's autobiography.
I'm just a regular 16-year-old kid. I make good grilled cheese, and I like girls.
At 81, he put out an album of his own poetry set to rock music.
Coming back to you where I can do no wrong.
He said he kept working because each new project felt like getting away with something he didn't quite deserve.
And I ran fast and before they could catch me and say, no, acting is for silly people.
Mischievous but modest, Vincent ran fast for decades during his remarkable career, and they never caught him. Deanna Sumanak-Johnson, CBC News, Toronto.
A high school club in Abbotsford led by Black students is sparking discussions about identity and belonging. That story is next. Well, a high school club in Abbotsford led by Black students and educators is sparking discussions about identity and belonging. CBC's Beneat Bridge sat down with the students to talk about what it means in the Fraser Valley.
I've been through a lot of issues, I guess. I've done the whole marathon when it comes to racism.
It kind of just creates like a space where we can go and it's nothing to worry about, and like we can just forget about those problems.
This group to me is everything. It's powerful, it's meaningful, it's impactful, and ultimately it changes lives.
Black Connections is definitely a safe space. You don't get looked at differently or anything. You get the same eyes, everybody's looking at each other. We all love each other.
The boys with their dreads, like that is them expressing themselves, and me with my fluffy hair, like that is me authentically showing who I am.
For me, this group is really a family, someone I can talk to without being judged.
Because there's not really a place for Black people to go and feel like included and talk their mind and just be Black and not feel like anyone's watching you or they just looking at you and stuff. Me and my friends, I have a group of Black friends. We go to the mall and we're hanging out. Like we just get looked at by security and it just looked like kind of just like off, and everyone would kind of just be like the center. You'd be like the center of attention.
There's a lot of openly racist things that happen throughout the years. Like it's never just one and done. There's always something else happening.
People are like, oh, it happens. It's part of growing up in the Fraser Valley, but it's really not. It's not normalized, and it shouldn't be normalized. Like hearing the N-word in a book, or being pointed out because you're Black and you must know who Rosa Parks is. It's isolating and it sucks.
The power of numbers is that now we're getting heard. This space really takes Black excellency to the next level. It really is a safe place.
It's definitely good. I've definitely made some pretty good friends, even starting last year.
Well, I didn't know there was this many Black students in our district before Black Connections, so it was really cool to see that.
Growing up as someone who is mixed, like I have a white parent and a Black parent, I think I never really knew where I fit between that, if I should act more white or if I should act more Black. And I think I really struggled with finding that in between for so long. We all belong here and we need to be seen and heard. I hope that it continues to change lives because that's what it's done.
Those students, examples of Black excellence themselves. Thank you for taking the time to talk to us. And thank you to all of you for joining us this Saturday night. We will be back here tomorrow. Until then, stay safe, enjoy the snow if you can. Thanks for watching.